You ever had one of those days where you just didn't show up to work? Snooze button 20 times, energy drink in hand, half asleep on the couch? That was Pereira Ankalaev 1. That was not Alex Pereira. That was Alex the Intern, Alex the Ordinary. He clocked in at 40%, did half the job, and still somehow made Ankalaev look like he needed HR to step in. Since then, Pereira's plot armor cracked. He's no longer the invincible final boss. He's a guy who's tasted defeat, rebuilt, and come back sharper and angrier. But here's the thing, Ankalaev's record? On paper, it looks almost undefeated, until you look closer, and the cracks you see there, they line up perfectly with what Pereira brings. Ankalaev drags people into long nights, Pereira ends nights early, and when these two collide again, it won't look anything like their first fight.
What was the most difficult part about dealing with Ankalaev in your first fight in March?
I think the conditions that I was coming to that fight, that I had coming to that fight.
So, I mean, were you 50% of what you normally are in that fight? 40%? Are you willing to put a number on it?
Honestly, I was about 40% on that fight, on that night.
Wow.
And obviously, it's going to be much more this time. But if I'm only 50%, that 10% is going to make such a great difference. They're going to leave no doubt for everybody.
People are clowning on that excuse, 40%, like it's a phone battery at 8 a.m. and you know it's dying before lunch. But come on, that was not full chama Poatan. He wasn't walking people to the Shadow Realm, he was walking laps around the office waiting for 5 p.m. Hell, he looked like he was one passive-aggressive email away from calling in sick. You don't win Fighter of the Year with that performance, you win Employee of the Month at Bellator. And the crazy thing is, even at 40%, even as Alex the Intern, he still made Ankalaev look uncomfortable. Ankalaev had the fence, had the control, but he never got dominated. It looked like a sparring session where his partner's half asleep and still the more dangerous guy. So the question is, why? Why was Pereira 40% that night? Maybe it was fatigue from being an active champ. Maybe it was all the travel and spotlight. Maybe it was just a bad cut or an off night. Fighters have them, but what's undeniable is this. That was not the Pereira who puts people out cold. And that's the scary part. If 40% Pereira kept it that close, what happens when the full version shows up on time, wide awake, and ready to work? I honestly feel like when I watched that fight back, Pereira really did not feel like he was that same guy. He was, they touch gloves, he's walking back to the cage, and he's just sort of got this look on his face like, yeah, here we go again. I'm going to beat another guy and get my money and be the Chama champ, and we're going to walk away, and this is all going to be good. I feel like he got a bit complacent, but I also do feel like he was fighting all the time. He had stepped in to save a bunch of cards, and that type of activity takes its toll on you. He was also traveling all over the place, sparring with guys in South Korea, going to Australia to corner Strickland, doing all of this different stuff that wasn't being super focused in on his fight camps. So I do feel like he has learned from that. He's taken his time to get rested, be fully recovered, be in a proper environment to train and get ready for this one guy and go and take his lights out. Because since then, Pereira's plot armor cracked. He's not the untouchable Chama demigod anymore. Remember after Izzy knocked him out? A lot of fighters never recover from a loss like that. Pereira turned it into fuel. Double champ, title defenses, highlight reel knockouts. Now he's angry, focused, and attacking every time Ankalaev tries to enter the pocket. Leg kicks, check hooks, body shots. The cost of entry is going way up. Every strike intended to cause serious damage. And you can see that anger spilling out in the lead-up. The clips don't lie. Pereira and Ankalaev chirping back and forth, arguing between two translators because neither of them even remotely speaks the same language. It's like two guys arguing in a food court through Google Translate. Do they even understand each other? And why does Pereira care so much? But what matters is that Pereira clearly does care. He's irritated. He's ready to prove something. And the last time he fought angry, Jamal Hill went home looking like a bobblehead. Those argument clips between Pereira and Ankalaev are hilarious, by the way. Watching them sit there and argue between two translators just makes me laugh. You've got Pereira there reading Ankalaev his tweets that were obviously written by Ali. He's like, and here you said you would slap me in the face, you would hurt me, and then it's got to like get translated through Pereira's translator to Ankalaev's translator to Ankalaev, at which point Ankalaev's like, bro, I didn't even write this shit, I don't know what you're talking about. It's like crazy. And then Pereira's like, he hid from me, I'm going to talk to him. And then they're there in front of each other, and the only language that these two guys speak is violence, and neither of them are speaking it. They're both just sitting there trying to have this discoordinated discussion that I promise you no one comes out of going, oh, I understand what he was saying. I just don't really understand why Pereira cares so much. Like, why are you getting so upset? Is it just so that he can get himself into the mindset of hating Ankalaev so that he can like really come in there ready to go? But it's the only thing I can think of. Because let's not act like Big Ank is some easy assignment either. On paper, his record makes him look almost untouchable. The Paul Craig fight, he was pitching a shutout, then got triangle choked with 1 second left. That's not a loss, that's a Hail Mary full court shot. The Johnny Walker no contest, a fight that ended before it even started. One illegal knee and done. When they ran it back, he folded Walker. No debate there. But then there's the Jan Blachowicz draw. The scorecard said even, but Jan's leg kicks told the truth. Ankalaev looked like he was tiptoeing across Lego bricks by round 4. A lot of people thought Jan actually won 3 rounds. So yeah, call him undefeated if you want, but if you're honest, the tape shows cracks. Craig showed he can lose focus. Jan showed his legs are there to be chopped at. And if Jan at 39 could make him limp, what's he gonna do when every kick is coming from a 2-division kickboxing champion with real intent to harm? The other thing I think is super interesting is that the biggest thing that Pereira couldn't do in their first fight was get off the cage. He was able to defend every single takedown, but he just couldn't get off the cage. All he has to really do is learn how to get off the cage quicker, which is actually not that hard. And that gives him so much more time to work, not to mention the damage that he can do on the way out and on the way in when Ankalaev's coming in to try and actually get that hold on him, right? And as Ankalaev has to do more and more of those attempts to try and get him at the cage, and then Pereira's able to turn off and make those angles and hurt him and punish him each time, he's going to be able to do that less and less and less. He's going to get frustrated. I don't see this being so easy for Ankalaev to just do the exact same thing he did last time, where he holds Pereira up against the fence and doesn't let him go, and that eats up 3 minutes of a round in round 4 and 5, right? Here's the truth. 40% Pereira kept it close. 100% Pereira is 100% bad news for Ankalaev. Ankalaev's record, almost undefeated. Ankalaev's style, built for decisions. But Pereira doesn't give you decisions, he gives you consequences. That's why my pick is Alex Pereira in round 3, by knockout. Left hook as a frustrated and damaged Ankalaev is coming in, and he's out before he hits the ground. Either way, this is going to be a much more fun fight than last time. Pereira's going to be coming in, ready to go, ready to do damage, and this is not going the distance. I'm super excited. I'm going to make another video on the Merab and Corey Sandhagen fight. I think that's also going to be a great one. We've got an awesome weekend of fights coming up, so I hope that you're excited. If you like the video, like it, subscribe. Can you let me know what you think? If I'm way off base here and Pereira's just making excuses, I'd love to hear your perspective. Or if you feel like I'm right and Big Ank is getting switched off, I'd also love to hear that too. See ya.